In today's video, I'm going to give you 5 tips particularly useful for new RVers, particularly new RVers in a van, a Class B RV. And you're going to want to stick around to the very end because the last recommendation could save you a gajillion dollars. Let's get into it. Thanks for tuning in today. Really appreciate you doing so. My name is Scott. I'm your host. Welcome to Go Small, Live Large. We're a YouTube channel and growing community of people really excited about the Class B RV, which typically is a van. And in my case, it's a Winnebago Travato 59G is the floor plan. L is for a Volta lithium-ion equipped rig. I've been full-time in my Travato since February of 2019 and 40,000 miles, 30-some states. I have learned so much, and we are here to share that with you. And in fact, I learn a lot from you out there in the audience, and I share that collectively here on the channel. You decide what's best for you. That's what we do here. Learn, share, you decide what's best for you. Today, I'm going to give you 5 specific tips on the cab of the van. I have a bonus tip right out of the gate, so it's actually 6 tips, but you're going to want to stay to the end because it's probably going to save you a gazillion dollars. First tip is learn how to spin your cab seat around, because this is super valuable living space. By spinning these 2 seats around, the cab becomes part of your living space. And if I measure from the bench seat to where I'm seated right now, that is a functional, let's call it 64 inches. So that is about 5.5 feet, which is a lot of space. And if we go this way, this becomes, I'll call it about 4.5 feet this way. So again, by spinning the cab seats around, this becomes functional space for a guest, for working, and for just having a different perspective on your van. So tip number 1, learn to spin your cab seats around. I spin this one around all the time when I park, even if it's just for an overnight. This one I leave stationary because I use it for storage, which leads us to tip number 2. So why not use the front passenger seat, if you don't have a front passenger, as storage space? While not awesome to look at, this actually holds a lot of space. Or sorry, holds a lot of items. So clearly I got a cat bed here. I got some paperwork I have to deal with. This is loose change. This is the change that I really am not overly fond of. That quarters me a lot, so they go right here. And what you want to do is just maximize every little square inch of this space. So what I have here is 2 sets of cowboy boots and a USB powered fan. It's my tiny library. It's about, there's some cool wildlife. My binoculars sit right here. I got some paperwork down here and the manuals. Now you may or may not disagree with this. Using coins here, that might be a little bit incentive to break in. So your choice. Again, learn, share, you decide. And again, looking at all the little bits of space and storage up here, I've got sunglass storage. I've got crazy rocks that I've collected, some funny chameleons. And I use this for my sunglasses, which is really, really helpful. Another big tip is this. Gas gauge. And that's a big tip because when you are in unknown territory, when you are in a rural environment, when you're on an interstate or a highway that you are really not certain where your next gas stop is going to be, do not let your gas tank get below 50%. The 50% rule means that when your tank gets to half, you fill up. And this has saved my bacon more than once. And Chad and Paul had a similar experience. I'm not sure which video it was, but it scares the crap out of you when you are getting below a quarter tank and you have no clue where your next gas station is. Even if your navigation app like Apple Maps says, hey, you are 30 to 50 miles out from your nearest gas station. These are thirsty rigs, and I would not want to be stranded because I ran out of gas. So tip, if you are in unknown territory, not an urban environment, you don't know where your next gas stop is, at 50%, stop and fill. All right, another big tip is in particular importance when you're in an urban environment, and that is to fold in your mirrors. Now I have a Ram ProMaster, so the chassis comes with folding mirrors. You press this button here and the mirrors fold into the sides. It's pretty cool, right? And this is really important. People strolling by, people riding bikes, delivery vehicles, idiots of all types that like to create mayhem and just smack these mirrors because they are big and they stick out from the sides of the van. And I've had a couple people just come by literally on bikes and just smack it just because. And that taught me to fold in my mirrors when I'm in an urban environment in particular. So another bonus for you. Let me ask you this question. Your phone probably connects to your in-dash stereo speaker and microphone system to make phone calls, right? What's the quality of that audio experience for you and your audience, the person on the other end of who you're talking to? Is it great or could it be better? I think it could probably be better. So what I do, I use these. These are my AirPods. And what I use my AirPods for is I put them right here with my sunglasses. And if I'm needing to make calls or take calls, I take them out of the case, I put them in my ear. My phone is connected right here to the dash. That would be another good idea, is to get something here that's really useful, not mounted to the window because it's a long way away, by the way. And then I just transfer the call to my AirPod, and the sound quality is really good. It cancels out the noise from the cabin and the road, and then both of us have a really pleasant audio experience. All right, one more bonus tip, and then we're gonna get into the big one that's gonna save you $1 gajillion, and that is, I have to give credit to Paul and Chad. They have an amazing RV Class B Travato, National Park Foundation Edition Travato. They also have a small dog, and I got this tip from them. Let me show you. So what they did, which is a great idea, is they put a little sign in the window that reads on the outside that, hey, there's a pet in here, and we know that. It's in a climate-controlled environment. Don't panic, don't call the police. Let me show you what mine says. So what mine says basically is, cat lives in here with me, climate controlled cabin, video surveillance operating, please don't bother the cat, and I give my name and phone number there. And what that does is just give me a little bit of confidence that people will see that, read that, react appropriately to it, versus seeing an animal in what could be perceived as a hot vehicle in the sun and call the police, break a window, and creates a whole lot of drama. So a big thumb up to Chad and Paul, and if you haven't seen their channel, please go see them. They have an amazing channel, and that tip comes from them, and I've never had a problem. The cat's been with me now for over a year and never been called, except for people curious about the van, which is interesting. Different story. All right, let's get on to the last and biggest tip that will save you some big bucks. Well, hope you learned something. If you are, I sure would appreciate a thumb up. That helps me know that you like this. It helps others find the channel, and it helps YouTube know that you liked it and that they share it out with other people. I'm curious, if you have a cab, what kind of things am I missing? To see what your thoughts are in the comments below. And by the way, where are you watching from? So many international people watch this channel. It's just crazy. And I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are amazing. Okay, so the final tip is going to save you a lot of money, and here's why. When I first got my RV, I had driven a typical sedan and a sports car. Neither of those did I have to deal with any height issues. I climb into this thing. She's about 10 feet tall. Some are even taller, like the Sprinter-based Revels, for example. And I was really struggling with remembering the clearance on this van, and that it was an issue. So what I did is I took a dry erase marker and I literally wrote, now don't do this with a Sharpie, make sure it says dry erase, right? Good Lord. And I literally wrote right here on the windshield, the word clearance. And I rode around for probably close to a month to remind me that I am 10 feet tall and that I could be snagged by a branch. Parking under a tree is hugely terrible. I actually scuffed the side of my van once. It wasn't a clearance issue. Height-wise, it was a clearance issue sideways. So this is not a great color because it's black, it kind of blends in. What I actually used was orange. Don't have an orange marker with me today, but I would get an orange marker or something that shows up really well, and it will just give you a visual cue all the time until you're familiar with the fact that you're 10 feet tall, and if you snag a branch, a tree limb, you pull under a tree in a parking situation like in a Walmart parking lot, and there's a big limb over it, you have just brought yourself a whole lot of risk of pulling a solar panel, pulling a plumbing vent, pulling your air conditioner, causing all kinds of damage at least to the paint, at least to the racking system, if not to some of those critical components that would cost a gazillion dollars, I'm pretty sure, to have that repaired. That's super avoidable by just writing the word clearance on there until you are reminded that you are 10 feet tall, 21 feet long, and 7 feet wide in my case with my Travato. So that's my advice for you today. So again, if you're an RV newbie, was this helpful? If you have an RV newbie tip for the cab, what would it be if you've been doing this for a while? Some of you have been doing it a lot longer than I have. So again, just thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Wash my window anyway, so this is a good excuse. Once you're used to the clearance, yeah, just wipe it away. It's pretty nice, right? You got some Luke nose prints on here. Always get the mirror. Still watching? You're awesome. See you later.